Okay, so, I'm sorry about what I said in the chat last time. I was just really upset and whatnot. You know how it is. Terrible. Yes, hello, Mr. Discipline. That's an interesting name. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I swear, if this fucking microphone doesn't work, I'm gonna have a conniption. It should be working, but I don't know. I'm doing fine. Why the fuck does my camera look so dark? What is going on? I was shaved, as you can. Holy shit, the lag. I shaved, as you can see. No more disgusting neck beard. Well, oh, there's a second person. Neat. It's probably no one, though. They're probably. Okay, then. Just ask me a question. Anything. That's neat. Wouldn't that be funny? Yes. That is a hard one to answer. I've been playing them since 2018, around maybe before August. First one I played was Major Minor by Clay Husky. Terrible fucking game. Absolutely abysmal. Mishmash of Persona and like a bunch of other garbage. And his characters are so bland. The art that he uses is good, but it's not. And his writing is horrendous. The second one I played was Repeat by Shirokoi, and that was back in 2018. I remember the first update I had to wait for, which was the one where the whole Sissel dream thing happened. I remember the cliffhanger being him like getting dragged into the lake. I remember that. And then the third one, because I was conditioned by Repeat to think it was going to be a dating sim, and back then Echo didn't have a content warning. It didn't have a content warning on the page. So I went in there thinking it was just going to be a dating sim, and it hit me really hard. It was my favorite visual novel for fucking years until Burroughs happened. I don't even know what other ones I played after that. I just know the first three in detail. But I know Tennis Ace is one of them. I know Nekojishi is one of them. I know that a lot, basically. I've read a lot of them, and the majority of them I find either mediocre or terrible. For instance, I have a video on my channel where I go into detail about this, but I fucking hate Adastra. It's a terrible VN. If you want to find out, just just look around my. I think the title is an extremely negative review of Adastra. That should be the title, and you can just search that in the channel thing. Mm. Well, if you were paying attention, you would have heard me say that Echo was my favorite, but then Burrows came along, and Burrows is now my favorite. Um, Echo is still my second or third place. It's just um, Burrows is so much better in terms of characterization because from the very first update, way back in like October of 2022, no, 2020, 2021, I think, 2021, um, I was immediately attached to Gray. By the end of that update, I was more attached to him than I was attached to Chase in Echo. And yeah, Burrows is currently my favorite. As for my least favorite, uh, my least favorite would probably have to be um, either Far Beyond the World or Adastra. Those are the two that I would consider my least favorite. Adastra because the writing and the potential that that game had for being amazing was just up there. It was really good. And I don't like Far Beyond the World for two reasons. Number one, the story isn't that good. It's basically just copy and paste Adastra, but in a fantasy setting. And also, the creator of that, Kill Tiger, is an utter piece of shit. So if you're expecting that to happen on my channel, don't bother, Simps. It's not going to happen. Oh boy. I don't know. Oh my god, YouTube, show the fucking message. It literally just says Kale sucks. It doesn't have any vulgarity in it. It doesn't have anything sexual in it. Good grief, YouTube. Fuck you. But yeah, I don't know what I'd want to do. I know that I am trying desperately to find voice actors for this Echo fandom I want to do. And I already have a voice actor for Carl, and I'm voicing Chase. And I'm voicing Chase and Sam because technically they're in the same body, so I kind of have to do both. And yeah, basically Chase would just be the voice, my normal voice, which is this, and Sam would be a more southern twang to it. Um, yeah. I'm just trying to get fellow voice actors to join because it's hard to find people. And I only have three roles and I'm doing two of them. So the dude that I've got doing Carl, I think he's able to do the the pothead voice real well. And also he really likes Carl, so that's a plus. He, however, finds Leo to be a sympathetic character and well, I love most about Burrows. Writing. The writing and the characterization and the historical accuracy and the art and the aesthetics and the style and the music. Um I'm a big history buff. I'm a big humanities person. I read a bunch of literature. I'm into con lane. I'm into linguistics. I'm into like sociopolitics and stuff. And I read a lot of history at one point. So I know a lot about history. So I'm playing this game and I'm seeing these events accurately, like these time periods portrayed in a way that makes sense and is realistic. And that's cool. That's really cool. And when like I was trying to piece together when when heroes when heroes route when heroes route was released, I was trying to piece together what year it was, what like time period it was, and I remember I in the video I had this theory going in when it going into his route that I thought it was going to be like some kind of Holocaust story, which would have been a bit weird because he wouldn't be sympathetic character then. But that is something that happened. Um, I don't think that's what it is now. I think it's more of a like World War between World War One and Two. It's in that part of history where Germany was still struggling economically and stuff. Anyway, to answer your question. What VN What VN the most update you are more excited to what? That sentence doesn't make it that is that is so horribly worded. I almost had a stroke. Anyway, I am most excited for the next Burrows update, and I'm also really excited for the final Arches build because I've already played build 7, which was Psychosis, and um holy fucking shit. Holy fucking shit, man. Yeah. Um Build 7 of Arches, guys. You're not ready. You're not fucking ready, trust me. I already it's already uploaded on my channel, but it's privated right now. You wouldn't be able to see it. Okay, so you went into my playlist and saw the video because it's unlisted. I should change that to private because I don't want people. Mm, whatever. Yeah, I'm most excited for the final build of Arches because the next update is most likely going to be the final one. I can't see them. I can't see them going beyond that. Sorry, I am from Quebec and speak. Oh, ooh, that's a fun language. That's a fun language. Ah, so many interesting tidbits about French. Oh, I could go on fucking forever about linguistics, and French is a fun language, okay? It just is. I, I'm not fluent in it like I am with German and Dutch and Portuguese, but I'm trying. I'm getting better. And I'm also doing this Polish and some Russian and some Italian, some Spanish. I'm probably taking on way more than I can chew, but you know what? I don't care. I don't care. My I have a friend down in Brazil. I have a friend down in Brazil, and that's why I learned Portuguese because they speak Portuguese down there. But yeah, I'm most fluent in Portuguese, Dutch, and German because, well, yeah. I don't really like. I mean, I like Gabriel, but he's not my favorite. He's definitely not my favorite. I don't really like any. I don't like any of the characters, any of the route choices. I don't like any of the route choices at all. Not like physically. Physically wise, I don't like them all because they don't. The closest I'd come would be Hero, but he doesn't have a because he's not a, he's trans, And that's a big turnoff, so no thank you. Do I watch The Walking Dead? That's a question out of left field. I have watched it. I don't really watch it anymore. I mean, I'm waiting for season 11 to come on Netflix so I can see it, but other than that, not really, not anymore. No. I prefer shows that are actually well written. No, it's not. No, season 11 isn't. Oh, it is. Oh, I guess I'll have to watch that then. Um, I I prefer shows that actually have good writing. You know, shows like Haunting of Hill House or Chernobyl or first four seasons of Game of Thrones. Everything after season 4 was just a downward slope and fucking terrible writing, and I wanted to gouge my fucking eyes out. Because the thing is, I watched seasons 1 to 7 in like a month, building up to when season 8 started coming out. So I was like into it. And yeah, I noticed decline and all that stuff. But then I watched season 8 as it was releasing. That was an agony unlike anything I've ever experienced. Um, mm, man, that was agony. Because I just gotten invested in these characters. I'd spent a month. I'd spent a month watching it from season 1 to season 7, all of it. And I was like really into the characters, and I was hoping there's no way they could fuck up Jon Snow's plotline. They did. They also fucked up many other characters. Ah, yes, the most superficial comment you can make about the show. Congratulations. I My favorite movie currently is Inland Empire, directed by David Lynch. It is the absolute perfect blend of nightmare logic and just Lynchian vibes, and I fucking love it. Just 3 hours of tasty, tasty goodness. Oh man. Laura Dern in that movie is so good. Fucking It's not a movie that you watch for the plot because there is no plot. Just like a dream, there's no plot in dreams or nightmares. Well, there is, but it's the nonsensical one. There is no plot in this movie. It's just the one character jumps between these different storylines, and there's this so much good shit. Oh my god! Plus, the shitty quality of the camera that Lynch shot it on adds to the nightmare like feel. And I wasn't expecting to hear Beck in it, but I did. You know, there's a scene where Black Tambourine plays, and it's amazing. It's just holy fucking shit. Even though I don't really like that musician that much, I much prefer metal and classical over that shit. But are you fucking kidding me? Of course, they fucking left. It's like no one's talking. I'm just continually speaking and no one is fucking saying anything anymore. Don't strain too hard. I swear. Yeah, I definitely heard that. I definitely fucking heard that knock at um, the window on the second floor. It was probably just a bug, but still, probably just a bug finding the window and killing itself. But it still freaks me the fuck out. Yeah, it's not creepy at all. It's just whatever, I guess. I don't I don't really care. I just like the character more than the animal they are, and that in like that sort of sense. But if you're asking me about like my personas, I like birds, I like foxes and stuff. Whatever. Why is this a fucking thing I'm answering? I don't know. It's weird. Why are you asking me this? I really don't know how this is gonna sound because I can't. The fucking mic is supposed to be in my ears. It's supposed to be fucking like playing my music back at me, my fucking voice back at me, but it's not. Maybe if I change it to the other setting, that would work better. Maybe I don't know. You're a bad conversationalist, really. That's interesting, I suppose. Cavernous Spear sucks, and Temptation's Ballad is just Shiro Koi wanting to flex his love of D&D. I mean, yeah, the characters are cool and all. I just wish it was more serious. I don't really like all the sex humor all the time. It's not my jam. I'd much rather there actually be character moments. It's a long word. I mean, yeah, it is. Not the longest one I know. The longest one I know is like 182 character 182 letters. That's the longest word I know. How long it is, at least. It is from a play. It's from a Greek play by Astrophanes, I think is how to pronounce his name. And it's the name of a dish. Eden's Reach. That's the one that's like the sci-fi thing with like dude and the dance thing or whatever. It didn't really catch my interest, to be honest. I mean, played the first update, kind of bored, didn't want to get back to it because it just sounded really like, oh, you're gonna fall for the wolf again. So original. One Last Night's actually interesting because it's actually something I've never seen before in FENs, which is apocalypse and shit. But like, it's starting to fall into the cliches, and I don't like that very much. Um, focus on the part that I said that was positive. Don't focus on what I said before, where I said that I didn't like it was getting cliche. Uh, fun. if I was ever going to make my if I was ever going to make a FEN myself, very unlikely, but if I did, because I'd have to learn Python and I don't know anything about coding. If I did, I'd start the story out with the main character doing something extremely morally reprehensible, something that the audience will absolutely not like them for, and I will set them on that path where they're basically very morally not even gray yet, more very deliberately evil and malicious. And over the course of the story, I would slowly reveal that they've experienced some shit that has caused them to become this way. Basically, if Moira did it, I can do it. I mean, that's a bit egotistical and arrogant there, but should be somewhat easy for me considering I've been writing for 10 years at this point. Yeah, 10 years. Um, Wait, no, 11. 11 years. Yeah, 11 years. I've been writing for 11 years since I was 9. No, no, it's not. No, it's not. But yeah, I don't think you guys really understand that I am not just into this small niche of visual novels. I have 2 bookshelves here, filled to the brim with different books. Most of it serious literature like Ulysses and The Anatomy of Melancholy and The Recognitions and others. And I have some rote genre fantasia as well on there, but mostly I very much prefer serious literature now. Um, but yeah, I wish I could go more into that, but I honestly have the feeling that I would lose viewership on those videos because apparently my audience is just a bunch of people that like visual novels and stuff. That's reading, dude. I've been reading on my own since I was like 6 years old, so yeah. But yeah, just the fact that you think, no, they're not different. It's still literature. Honestly, the fact that people like you exist that don't like reading kind of saddens me because it just proves to me that postmodernism and our modern society has completely destroyed interest. Well, not completely, but very nearly destroyed interests in one of the most important art forms of our species. And if I'm going to really get into it, I would have to say that the core of our modern problems well, our societal problems at least, stem from the belief that comfort is more easy and more easy to get than facing difficult truths and actually trying to improve yourself. If that wasn't the case, if modern generations didn't think that comfort was more important than actually experiencing life, then maybe we wouldn't be in this mess, but it is the last days of Rome at this point. I really fucking hate my generation. I really hate it. I mean, it's not only my generation's fault, it's also the boomers and the Gen Xers and the millennials and the Gen Zers, and it's really just a problem that everyone has contributed to for making the wrong decisions, thinking that the actions are going to take in the moment will influence them in the future, and that leads to some very bad things down the road. Because looking into history and the collapse of the major powers, you see a very similar pattern to what's happening in America and the world, really. And yeah, Rome lasted like 1,000 years. We've only lasted 200 and something. But yeah, I honestly hate partisanship. I do not believe in either side. I can't tell. You can't tell, can you? It's more realistic, to be honest. Um, I really hate both sides of the political spectrum. They're both equally abhorrent. And if it was up to me, they'd be banished. There would be no political parties. But that's not possible. But yeah, one of my favorite novels currently, it's high up there. It's in like my top 10 is Ulysses by James Joyce, and it's 101 years old now, which is fucking insane. That's 1920s. We're 100 years ago. But yeah, I've written a review of this before, but I like revised it because I love it so much. And this is from the novel, Brain Tipped, cheek touched with flame, they listened, feeling that flow, endearing flow over skin, limbs, human heart, soul, spine. Ulysses is civilization's cradle and coffin. It is a linguistic cosmos unto itself, finite without boundary. It is a Fabergé egg inside a Russian doll, inside an onion, inside a neuronal labyrinth, inside a fissured funhouse mirror, inside a kaleidoscope, inside a fractal, inside a universe, inside a multiverse, inside an omniverse of a verse, and vice versa. And there's vice, of course, because Joyce's love of Greek mythology must have informed his persistence in portraying humans as humans after the humanized Hellenic gods who gave in to earthly urges, who possessed neither omnipotence nor omnipresence, unlike the inhuman god that Joyce was taught to love through fear, the god who ostensibly made us in his image. An omnivorous being which can masticate, deglute, digest, and apparently pass through the ordinary channel with plutoperfect imperturbability, such multifarious ailments as cancrenous females, emaciated by paratrycian, corpulent professional gentlemen, not to speak of jaundiced politicians and chlorotic nuns, might possibly find gastric relief in an innocent collation of staggering Bob, reveals as naught else could, and in a very unsavory light, the tendency above alluded to. The prose in Ulysses ululates and undulates the Dublin in us all. Fumophagic Joyce performs Linguistinigus on the pupils of all pupils, because that's what every reader is in the presence of such a master, on the supermassive black hole in the center of our Milky Way, hitting all those electrified nerve endings. Bloom looped, unlooped, nutted, disnutted. Bloom, flood of warm jam, lick it up secretness, flowed to flow and music out, and desire, dark to lick, flow invading, tipping her tapping her topping her, tup, pores to dilate dilating, tup, the joy, the feel, the warm, the tup, to pour over sluices, pouring gushes, flood, gush, flow, joy gush, tup throb, now, language of love. Yeah, I fucking love this novel is so fucking good. While reading Ulysses, I dual-wielded Gifford's Ulysses Annotated and Blemeyer's The New Bloomsday Book. I think both descriptors are necessary for anything even approaching a comprehensive understanding of Ulysses. The former is as information-packed as an encyclopedia, while the latter synthesizes some of that information and gives helpful summaries of each chapter and expounds on religious themes. The method I hit upon was to read a chapter summary, then the chapter's corresponding annotations, then the actual chapter. It gave me the brain power to read Ulysses as though it were a normal book and not a cosmic cipher. And while reading chapters, I occasionally skimmed the Gifford annotations where needed. With a minimum of word flow interruption, this made Ulysses almost a breeze to read. The only difficult, then, is the Ulyseismic time commitment. With the 3 books combined, it's something like 1,700 pages. It took me 3 months to get through, and I'll happily never get those months back. And all came with nimbi and orales and gloriae, bearing palms and harps and swords, and olive crowns, and robes, whereon were woven the blessed symbols of their efficacies, inkhorns, arrows, loaves, cruises, fetters, axes, trees, bridges, babes in a bathtub, shells, wallets, shears, keys, dragons, lilies, buckshot, beards, hogs, lamps, bellows, beehives, soup plattles, stars, snakes, anvils, boxes of Vaseline, bells, crutches, forceps, stag's horns, watertight boots, hawks, millstones, eyes in a dish, wax candles, aspergills, unicorns. Great novels, I think, are an attempt to bottle consciousness beyond the skull, to recognize the atom for what it is, an amalgamation of protons, neutrons, and worlds. This is what Ulysses does. It deserves a universe of stars. It soared, a bird, it held its flight, a swift pure cry, sore silver orb, it leaped serene, speeding sustained to come. Don't spin it out too long, long breath, he breathed, long life, soaring high, high, resplendent aflame, crowned, high and effulgent symbolistic, high of the ethereal bosom, high of the high vast radiation everywhere, all soaring all around, about the all, the endlessness. A transformative experience? Yes, I say yes. Yeah, that's my review of it. Have you heard of Minotaur Hotel? Yes, I have. I did a single video of it on my channel about a year or so ago. I don't remember when, but I know that I did one. Ulysses sounds interesting. I'll probably read it at some point. Well, you need to know the plot of the Odyssey by Homer and the plot of what is the other one? I think yeah, you need to basically read the Odyssey, and you also need to be prepared for linguistic magnificence. But yeah, Minotaur Hotel. Eh, eh. I don't even like. Ugh, my eyes. Ugh. Oh my fucking god, friends. Stay online for fuck's sake. Yes, you can enter the fray, and you join in the amazing grace of my Discord, Lollygaggin, Lollygogin, Gashigunagana. Search. Is it though? Is it? Oh, for fuck's sake, mate, what the fuck has happened here? Okay, so I guess I should, there's one, I want to describe my, because I didn't really give my thoughts on the update for, Rosejet Traveled. Well, I did, but it was on the Itch.io page. And then I go back to check the Itch.io page to see if anyone responded to the comment, and the creator of the visual novel disabled the comments. Fun. Can't take criticism, apparently. I mean, that is literally what Kale did when people started like criticizing his VN. It's just funny. Luckily, I screenshotted it. So it would seem that once again this game is a mixed bag. You have decent characterization and a compelling sci-fi setting, but you hardly seem to care about fleshing both of them out. Sure, you give us the illusion of fleshing them out in some way, but all it amounts to is surface level details. Maruk continues to be the undisputed best boy of the Guardians, and Marwyn continues to be an annoying, overprotected idiot. Hrun barely showed up at all in this update, so he's still a stuttering, socially awkward boyo. I would advise giving him more character than just that. I would also strongly advise cutting out a large chunk of the waffling that goes on. The MC's self-indulgent monologues about his thoughts and feelings are absolutely ridiculous, and they actively harm the story's pacing. Fix that, please and thank you. Overall, I'm still invested, but I'm not sure that will continue if the VN continues on this path. But yeah, that was basically what I left on it. And then I go back to check if people like responded to it, and it's gone. Like the entire comment section gone. So yeah, that's fun. That is the water bottle I use when I'm doing videos to fill my throat with water and all that. Yeah. I really do like Maruk. He's the best out of the three. Rune is this Hrun, I'm guessing is how I still pronounce it, is like the second best, and then Morrow is just the worst. Morrow is horrible. And surprisingly, doing Maro's voice hurts my throat more than doing Maruk's. It's interesting.
I don't know why that is, but maybe it's because it's more of a really Russian voice than just doing the deep voice, you know. Very, very interesting that, I suppose.
Kroon. Ah, yes, Kroon. I don't know. But yeah, on the last video I did, some fucker called CJ, some person called CJ left like a comment, and it made me laugh a bit. Stop getting pissy and actually, I don't know, read the content instead of skipping and complaining. If you don't like the VN, read something else. And of course, I replied to that because I was like, wow, I cannot believe that I have to keep repeating this fact about my channel. If you are here for the game, go play the fucking game. If you're here for me, my personality, then stay. I'm not going to compromise my integrity by lying about how I feel. That's dishonest and I fucking hate that shit. If you have an issue with the way I do my VN readings, you're free to see yourself out. I don't care. I'd rather people actually like my content for me than people like you who can't stand when someone makes a comment when they're experiencing. Yeah, my latest part 6. Basically, then the person said bye, Felicia. So I guess they're unsubscribed or something. This here is an interesting landscape feature that I found in Minecraft. Like, that is straight out of beta. That is like straight out of beta. That's cray. That's crazy. Yeah, but I don't care. Everyone seems to dislike my content for some reason or another. I don't like it very much because I'm not professional enough. I wish I had a voice changer, but I don't. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to edit my videos. So there's that. That's the thing I don't like about myself and my content. But, you know, as long as it entertains people, that's all I care about. Jesus Christ. Comments on it in the middle. So, but I like when the person reading comments like, yeah, that's what I like too. I base my style is basically a mixture of Vivian Jade. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Of Vivian Jade and Blythe Lewid. Basically a combination of their two styles. Way more commentary than Blythe, and a lot more analysis than Vivian does. Which, if you can, please support her Patreon, because she needs it right now, just saying. Jesus. I mean, I'm pretty sure she just made like $500 with her subathon thing that she did, but whatever. That's really nothing when we're talking about, like, bills and shit. I just, you know, I'm waiting for Polar Knight to release another update, because that one has me interested. Good grief. Good grief almighty. Hi there. Good grief. Yeah. Basically, I'm really excited for some Arctic horror, because there's a lot of isolation that goes with that. And yeah, I find that a lot of the ends nowadays are abysmal. They're just so poorly written. The characters don't interest me. The plot doesn't interest me. Ever since Adastra attacked, things haven't been the same. Okay? Everything changed when Adastra attacked. Engage with your audience. I literally could have been doing this the entire time. It says start a Q&A, answer viewer questions live, whatever. What the fuck? Okay. Jesus. What is the point of anything? What is the point of anything right now? Whatever, who knows? But yeah, I've been writing since I was 9 years old, and back then it was literally just like back then it was literally fuck off YouTube. Let it show. Oh my god. But yeah, back then when I was like when I was a 9, it was mainly because I wanted therapy. I was like in therapy for my anger issues, so I did a journal. I did like this journal thing where I would like write out my feelings and how the day was going, and that inspired into me writing stories. So yeah. Yeah, YouTube really sucks. What? What did I say? Who's here? There's a second person. Oh. So, back in March of last year, I found this comic, and I'm not going to say what kind of comic it was, but it wasn't exactly wholesome. And I started reading it, and I couldn't do it because it was absolutely disgusting. I don't understand how people find um non-consensual to be attractive. I don't really know why they find that attractive at all. I want to beat them up. It was just so gross. And the story eventually in part three, the story finally started treating what had been happening as like a horrific nightmare for the main character, but it was just so weirdly dissonant from the whole rest of the before of the comic that I was like, what is happening? So I wrote out this long comment on it, basically just like, okay, I think this is where I'm having the most trouble with this story. How are we supposed to feel sympathy for Gervik, or when he's going through his trauma, or are we supposed to laugh at it? Or are we supposed to ignore it until we're told to feel bad for him? And I'm serious about that because in 3 chapters, spanning 200 plus pages, Gervik's suffering has become ubiquitous with his character. So much so that his plight is becoming something that I'm wondering how we're supposed to rationalize. Him being was understandable given the situation. He was fighting against an opposing force, and has been pretty well documented that POWs are routinely disgraced, to put it gently. But after two long-standing incidents of his constant humiliation, degradation, and violation, Gervik hasn't gone through any sort of healing process. Yeah, ubiquitous is one of my favorite words. He hasn't really grieved in a way that allows him to come to terms with what has happened, not in a way that lets him really expel his trauma. He hasn't allowed himself to honor those who have fallen with him in a small memorial. He hasn't been able to go back and place some kind of memento on his girlfriend's grave or her place of death. He hasn't been allowed to really punish the man who him. And he's still a captive, even if just one that has a better cage instead of a companionship. So his PTSD is starting to become farcical. It's something we know of and which he accepts, but is not allowed to come to terms with. He is constantly being pulled into events that have nothing to do with his circumstances, with people outside Vlag, who have no concern nor care for him. He hasn't plotted out his life going forward, or at least not in a way that he can address his issues. I'm not sure if they have counselors in this world or not. And he's constantly leaning on someone else for emotional, mental, and physical support. He did it with Kabi when they were together in terms of wanting to protect the boy, and now he's doing it with Vlag. So what is the message with his trauma? To just keep on living? Okay, but why keep bringing up his suffering to say nothing about it? And I really mean that. There is nothing about his that you can say is substantial besides it happened. And this is mostly because that wound isn't allowed to heal by the plot. Remember, he's had over 2 months in this place, and his time dealing with his issue has been nothing. He goes through so many events, it feels like none of them matter, not because of his trauma, but in spite of it. Like he's lost military command, his friends, his soldiers, his freedom, his virginity, a young boy under his care, his girlfriend, and probably a major part of his sanity, and yet he just keeps going through the motions. So much so that it is starting to become almost paradoxical for him to actually be able to do anything. He'll just go back to being paranoid, depressive by the end, and then have a sexual encounter, whether warranted or not, and the cycle repeats. Main issue is this: what is this story? Is it a character piece, a porn novel, or a war story? A good writer can mesh these different elements together, but a novice cannot. And we get to see how they cannot because we're not getting a full war. We got clips and pieces of it with the backstory of how and why the war coming one chapter ago instead of at the start. So we have war that's going on that's cooled off, I guess, but you still have a war captive as the main focus. Nothing about what happens to Gervik will change the fact that he's not allowed his freedom. No matter what Vlag does, as long as he has power over Gervik, that is still a master-slave story dynamic. However, this story also wants to be a porn novel, with the helpless captor finding affection for his captive. That does not work with this story, because the war doesn't care about the specific characters enough to stop for them to have their relationship blossom. Think about every war movie you've ever seen. There's character growth, but in the sense of looming death over the characters' heads. Because you don't know who's going to die, and when and how, which some always invariably does. That's why any porn in a war story is hard, fast, and deeply emotional, because in truth, it's more of a goodbye than a let's create something. But here, if Gervik leaves Vlag, what does he have left? It's already been made clear that he will have no place in society being a chimera, so why leave the only protector you have? You see the problem? Gervik's illness has become a character flaw, but one he can never overcome, thus he's always going to be tied to needing someone to facilitate his lifestyle. And since all the wolves he knows are dead, he only has Vlag, which would be fine, except there's power dynamic muttering the waters. This story should have been a character piece, with Gervik being removed from the warfront, having to come face to face with what has happened to him and what he has become. If only his transformation can be likened to mental instability brought on by from war and real life, the parallels between him and not being able to control simply because someone with ailment needing medicine. The consequence of him never getting it and becoming a pariah in society is ripe for exploration. But you can't have that and the porn together, not unless the suggestion is that Gervik uses sex for medication to alleviate his trauma, which really isn't here. His intimacy with Vlag is honest and true. in the aspect of him actually caring about someone, but it's hampered by the what and how of their relationship. Specifically, what if Lag dies soon? Where does that put Gervik? This is why I see the relationship as being so sour, because it's valuing Gervik on principle. As you can see, I was fucking pissed. Very pissed. What? What is wrong with my camera? I'm sorry. I'm gonna go get something. Ta-da! It's very three individuals are watching my stream now. Whom else is here? Interesting. There's someone else here. Oh my hand is gone. Oh no. How terrible. Het is nog small. I'm ready to push you. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work there. Could you answer my question? Who are you? It's like my hand gets redder the farther away. What is going on? Oh, jeez. The like turn ya red. Okay. I hate this shirt so much. My dad got it for my birthday one year, and it is so fucking cringy. I'm only wearing it in my house. What is my eye doing? It looks like it's like covered in a film. What the hell? Apparently, I'm apparently the man from the Telltale Heart who has a blind eye. Cool. No, it says the fuckers apparently left. Of course they did. Why wouldn't they? Oh no. Oh my god, what the fuck is this? Oh, that's actually cute. That's cute. Wait, dear. Oh no, okay. That's cute. It's really cute. Fancy spelling of November there. Oh boy. Das Boot. Ah yes, Das Boot. But yeah, Ezra is my boyfriend. My boyfriend, my lover. November. Du bist ein Esel. Yes. Fick dich. Zwanzlusche. I'm very much gay as fuck, man. Fucking Joe, oh my god. You're not funny. What am I doing? That's interesting. Du bist ein bisschen verrückt. Okay.
Dies irae.
You know, I'm really good at scaring people, I've been told. I've made like videos of just me walking around the house late at night, and my friends have gotten scared from those. So I feel proud of that. He hasn't seen the videos. This fucking thing, man. Let me tell you a story. This is a true story. I'm being serious. This is a true story. I was around 9 or 10, and we were visiting my grandparents up in rural Michigan. They have lived in that house, the same house, for more than 50 years now. In fact, they're the very first people to live in it because they were the ones that paid for it to be built. And so we've always gone there whenever we wanted to say hello, visit them, spend for the holidays, all that stuff. And we were there, and I was upstairs in my mom's childhood bedroom, sleeping, sleeping away, cozy, cozy. And then my bladder wakes me up, and I have to go to the bathroom. So I go out, and the bathroom is literally like, if this is where the door is, this is where the door is, it's like right next to it, like on that side. So I go there, and then I'm thirsty. So instead of being smart and taking one of the like small cups on the bathroom sink and getting water from the sink there, I decide to go downstairs and get water from the kitchen. And I can't explain aloud to this house. I had a video that showed it, but my mom told me to take it down. So there's that. Basically, I go down in the kitchen, get a drink of water, and I'm ready to go back upstairs. But then I notice that the basement door and the office door are both open, and I know that they were closed when we went to bed. So I'm immediately put on edge. And the way you get down to where that is there's like a mini step. There's like a mini step that goes down into this square area, and then you can go this way into the office, or you can go in front of you down the basement. And I just go there and I look down into the depths of the unfinished basement that I refuse to go on even to this day. And I hear rustling. I hear like rustling around down there. And I immediately run back upstairs. I don't care if I wake people up. I don't care if they get upset with me. I just fucking run. And I vividly remember feeling like there was something chasing me. I found out the next morning, however, that it turned out that my mom and dad were sleeping down there in the finished room that was down there. Found out that mom and dad were just sleeping down there, and the rustling I heard was like their covers being moved by them, like rolling around. So, basically the way the basement is, you go down the stairs and you turn, and there's like a door there that goes in the finished room, but the rest of the basement is completely unfinished. And yeah. Even now, I refuse to go down there. When you were up there this November for Thanksgiving, no. No. Not to mention the interesting job that my Opa does. Opa used to do. He used to be a medical examiner. He used to be a coroner, but he used to be a medical examiner basically. And that means that he would do the autopsies on the bodies to find out what like killed them and stuff. And he's told me so many interesting stories about that basically my mom and her sisters, they grew up just surrounded by this business. That's a bit interesting. And they had a real skeleton, Sam the skeleton, that they kept out in the barn. Apparently Sam the skeleton's now gone though. Yeah, and then my aunt Jen, she lives over in Arizona, and she's a published author. She has written like 3 full books, and then she's written a short story for a collection. And one of her novels was actually turned into a film, was turned into a feature film. So we went into the theater to see this thing, and there's a scene at the end where it's in a church, and my Oma and Opa are just on screen in the film. They're just there. That was crazy. That was like, okay. Nah, the movie isn't good at all. The book isn't good at all. It's Christian fiction. It's very cliche, like, oh, this wife's husband gets killed in the Afghanistan stuff, and has to deal with that, and that's basically the whole story, and it's really cliche. And I used to do narrations for this channel in that sort of vein, where I used to narrate horror stories. And I used to mainly write horror, just complete horror. And 2018 is my most prolific year for writing, period. Because that is when, in October of 2018, I wrote a story every day for the entire month. 31 days. And I set myself basically this time limit. If I couldn't get the story done by from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., then I'd have failed. I would have failed the challenge. And the final day, October 31st, 2018, I spent the entire time, 12 hours, just writing this story. And it was like 40-ish pages, I think, like, if I remember correctly. I was 16. Oh, man. But yeah, that was basically at the end of that, I just I took a break. I took a break from writing because my fingies were aching so bad. And my mind was fried. You know how hard it is to come up with an original story with a different theme every day for 31 days? Do you know how hard that is? No, I don't. I'm not a 90s kid. I'm no 90s kid. It's your I'm sorry. I can't. Mm. I'm trying to see how long this final story was because I know that it was like almost 40 pages. Um, it says the word count is 11,392. So if I look this up, 11k 11k words in pages. Here's basically a snippet of it. It's called The Red Fall Harvest. September 25th. Red Hawk, Kansas. Is a little town just south of Hayes off Interstate 70. Small town. 3 lights, 2 diners, 1 chain sub shop. Current population 5,899. Expected to increase by the end of the day if Colorado has her baby. Town is mostly farmers and their families. Only a few exceptions to the rules, like Dr. Donna Jacobs, who commutes up to Fort Hays University every day to teach economics. On the school building is K-12 and encompasses all of Red Hawk and the smaller village right next door to the east, Garrett. Harvest time is drawing to a close. The land is flat, fields every horizon. Only eyesore is the old tire factory out half a mile out of town. There's only one large oak, and that stands outside the town's southwest corner. Its leaves haven't started to turn, and its roots are black as ash and break the ground along its base. It has just started to feel like autumn. October approaches quickly. The town is quiet. September 28th, 6:08 a.m. Sue Roberts, the owner of Harley's Diner on Main Street, not to be confused with Dave's Diner on Lime Street, talked to local farmers and old classmates, Dean Baker and Todd Scoba. They get farmers' breakfast platters, like always, except Dean gets extra sausage instead of bacon. They give her a hard time, joshing her. She bears it, secretly recognizing how unfortunately like their fathers both of the men are. She smiled when the Moores, both Daryl and Katrina, walk in and stood at the bar. They brought their sleepy teen with them. She almost falls asleep on top of her pancakes, vaguely daydreaming about the Wilson boy next door. Hang in there, dearie, Sue Roberts tells her. It is Friday after all. 8:07 a.m. David Young is about 4 miles out of town. He pulls down a long drive. It belongs to Robert Hall, David's part-time employer. Robert owns half the fields around these parts and usually starts bringing people on around the start of October to round the harvest up. David was looking to see if Robert needed any final help with the harvest. He's hoping to get a head start on everything else and he'd get the best field pick. He'd prefer the one that's right outside his house if at all possible, but he found Robert loading stockpiles of lumber from his truck. When asked, Robert tells the boy that the work is done and he's free to go. He thanks David for his help, but when David asks what the lumber is for, Robert tells him it's for a personal project. David lets it be. Doesn't say it, but he doesn't stop thinking about it all day. Doesn't know why. 8:24 a.m. Police Chief Edward Harris props his feet up on the desk, nearly knocking over the framed picture of his wife that sat in the back in the process. Lets out a sigh of relief, then the frame stops wobbling. Officer Douglas and Mullins are just gone on patrol, and he savors a brief moment of silence to himself inside the office. Lowers his wide-brimmed hat down over his eyes, and he tries to nap. His thoughts wander as he recalls the chill in the air that morning. Makes him think fall thoughts. He remembers that the anniversary's coming up. He needs to buy flowers. 12:59 p.m. Pastor Gregory runs into Wilma Matson on the dollar store and bids her a good afternoon, but of course, Wilma barely offers him a smile. Pastor Gregory then proceeds to ask why she's been to church recently and insists that she come this coming Sunday. Wilma bluntly tells him, "No, I got no more praying to do," or taking her items to check out. She mumbles something under her breath, but Pastor Gregory can't make it out. Secretly is relieved, for Wilma Madsen is a mad dog, and he promises to pray forgiveness for thinking such a dreadful thing later that night, no matter how true it is. 3:26 p.m. Phyllis Black picks up her two kids, Isaiah and Maribel, from local school, for the elementary side of Red Hawk local schools. They live over in Garrett, and on their way home, she tells them that their daddy finally has a set date for his homecoming, October 31st. He's been on tour for about 2 years now, Afghanistan. Both the kids gleefully cheer in the back seat. Their daddy would be home in just a little over a month. Phyllis smiles. 4:32 p.m. Doris Bletcher eggs them on at first, and then Errol Hodges does the same. Paul Elliott doesn't want to go. They all stand in the street about a mile outside town, just outside the old tire factory, Mullins and Hawkins. "It's been abandoned since my folks were kids," Doris says. She insists that Paul will be fine. Paul takes one step closer. But no more. He doesn't like all the birds sitting on the factory's roof. Big black birds. Tells him he isn't going. Starts to head home. Other two call him Chicken, but both secretly feel a bit relieved. They run to catch up with Paul, quickly glancing back. Dozens of buzzards watch them from the rooftop. 6:01 p.m. It's not often that out-of-towners show up in Red Hawk. It's not a through town. Only people who stop in Red Hawk are people who mean to stop in Red Hawk. A stranger enters Harley's diner. He's got a grizzled face and cold eyes. Sue stammers, just taking the man's order. For reason he's got hunter eyes, and they are unfeeling. He just orders a water and a medium rare burger. Stays for hours, and they talk. Sue finds out his name is Charles North. He is indeed a hunter, but he doesn't say what he hunts. Said he hasn't been back to Red Hawk in nearly 50 years. "Maybe for the first 13 years of my life," Charles tells her. "Then we packed it all up and moved to Maine. It's colder there. There's far too many trees." She's shocked to find out he used to be local, and that he's supposedly boarding with Wilma Matson just outside town. But she asks how long he'll be staying. Charlie grimly tells her he doesn't know. "Hopefully," he says, "only a few days. At the most, in the worst case scenario, until the end of October." She tells him staying Red Hawk isn't that bad. He asks if they sell alcohol. She tells him it's a dry town. He laughs in response and tells her, "Well, you ain't making the best case for yourself." She smiles. He doesn't tell her why they moved. 9:39 p.m. Carla Redding has her baby. Girl, 7 pounds, 8 ounces. They name her Jessica. September 29th. More out-of-towners arrive in Red Hawk. More hunters. Sue notices that they're almost all older, like Charles North. She has no idea what anything could be hunting here, though. Doesn't ask. Charles and Aunt spend a lot of time on Highlands Downer. When the other hunters come in, they barely acknowledge Charles North's presence, and Sue says they feel like kindred spirits. She's not sure what that means. Charles says he knows them, but they don't talk. No one is thrilled with the arrival of so many strangers, especially strangers with guns. Doris Bletcher tells her dad that she saw at least 10 rifles in the back of one of the men's Chevys. Her dad tells her to stay away. She tells him she's going to Paul tomorrow night, to which he responds, "Make sure you're back before dark." She agrees, yet Mr. Bletcher still feels uneasy. He won't admit it, but it's not because of the guns. He won't admit it because he has no idea what else it could be. September 30th, 9:01 a.m. Taylor Moore awakens to the sound of slamming car doors. Glancing out her window, she sees that the Wilsons are loading their van with suitcases and trunks, pulling on pants and a dirty t-shirt. She heads downstairs to talk to them. She's greeted kindly by the father, Thomas Wilson. When she asks where they're going, the father pauses and stammers, tells her they're going on vacation. Where to? She asks. I didn't even know you guys were planning anything. Oh, father says, almost absent-mindedly. Just remember that, my parents. Mom hasn't been feeling well as of late, and it's about time we go see her. Taylor sees their son, her best friend, Jonathan Wilson, get in the van. Although the two meet eyes, Jonathan looks away almost shamefully. John, she asks, peering in the van, how long are you guys going to be gone for? I don't know, he tells her, big looking at her. I'm sorry. Before she can ask what that means, Mr. Wilson puts a hand on her shoulder. Can you watch the house we're gone, feed the cats? He asks. She looks at the house. Their two white cats are staring meanly from the front door. Sure, she says slowly, but for how long? I don't know yet, he says, but I'll pay you for every day, I promise. Mr. Wilson tells her rather solemnly that they have to go, and awkwardly tells her goodbye and be safe. She watches them drive away, confused and disheartened. Jonathan hadn't even said bye. But even more confusing, she had never seen Mr. Wilson so rattled before. He had acted spooked. She walked up, shivering, to the Wilsons' front door, and made sure that the key was still hidden in the doormat. 11:11 a.m. Pastor Gregory's finished his sermon, and he's really happy with it today. He's less so pleased the number of people who showed up for his service today. A little more than half his congregation is missing, and disheartens him a little. When he asks if there are any prayer requests for the day, Adrian Bletcher, present with her daughter Doris, raises her hand. We're missing a lot of people today, Pastor, she says. And a lot more than it would feel a little edges the past couple days. So maybe just to be safe, we should pray for the whole town. 5:22 p.m. Sue Roberts hasn't seen Charles North all day, nor any of the friends for that matter. Ed Harris stops by for dinner, and he's the only one. He's one of the only ones. The diner feels empty that evening, and for a Sunday night, it's incredibly strange. Slow night? Ed asks. Like you wouldn't believe, Sue says, pouring the chief a cup. Everyone's been on edge today. Been like that for a few days now, Chief Harris adds, looking around. Don't see those out-of-towners anywhere. You think that's what it is? She asks. I know a lot of folks have expressed some concerns, says the chief, taking a sip of coffee. Guy in a crane? She brings him some, and he is whispering. Between me and you, Ed, I think something's got the whole town spooked. Hear about the Wilsons? Just got up and left, Chief said. Yes, I know. And so did the Burmonts and the McKinnons. Talked to Alex McKinnon last week and said he was fine. Promised he'd still be here to help out with the firemen's autumn ball. Day tells me he's canceling it. It's too weird, Sue says, adding one last thing before leaving the chief. That it is, the chief says, thinking. He has a sudden urge to drop by the Paris' home. He wonders if they'd be willing to give him some flowers on such short notice. 6:55 p.m. Carl Patterson has to stop for gas on the way home from his friend's house, so he stops at the local station. Leaning against his car as the numbers run on the pump, he unconsciously starts to tune into a conversation happening at the next pump over. A woman and a man arguing outside of a red pickup truck. Of course I'm sure, Charles, the woman groans with frustration. I've had 50 years to think about it. There's nowhere else it could have hidden. Well, you're not right when we fuck this. But if you're not right, then we fuck this over. We can't let it stop, Wilma. Not even for a moment. It has to die tonight. You think I don't know that? I've been tormented at that thought every night? been inside that damn factory and I know it's there, sleeping and waiting. But did you see it with your own eyes? Damn it, Charles, stop it. Why, you were 50 years. Don't you dare, I have 50 years here where you ran away. Got as far as you fucking could. Just stay here and remember. You got to fucking leave and forget. Forget just like everything else, didn't you? Shouting broke, and the man said sternly, "You better look me in the eyes when you say that. Don't you dare accuse me of forgetting her. I wouldn't ever. It wasn't my choice to leave you here, Wilma. At a certain point, however, it was your choice to stay. I stayed for her," she told him, "and I stayed for Patrick and Yvonne and Monica and Jimmy. I stayed for all of them. I never forgot. I never did, Charles. I wouldn't be telling you this unless I was 100% certain. It's in the factory, Charles. It's in the factory. I never forgot. I never did either. I'm sorry. I trust you. I don't think I don't. It's just, it means a lot to me. Everyone here, whether they can feel it or not. I know," the woman says, "and we won't fail tonight." Carl looks over, curious to add faces to the story he just heard. All he sees is a red truck loaded with canisters of gasoline. His pump clicks, giving him quite a jump. Takes his receipt and gets into his car. Through the rear view, he catches the red truck pulling onto the road. Takes off south and out of town. 7:30 p.m. Ed Harris arrives at the Mansfield Cemetery with a bushel of flowers in his right hand. Doesn't know exactly what they are, just that they're golden and pretty. His father loved yellow. Sets the flowers down on his tomb, resting them against the headstone. He's a little bit early, and he knows. Wind changes directions as he stands back up uneasily. It's been almost 50 years to the day, and that means something. He looks up and wonders if the sky had been that gray all day. 8:11 p.m. Doris has stayed well after sundown. She and Paul tell ghost stories to each other to celebrate October's arrival tomorrow. It's a tradition they have shared since elementary. As the stories begin to start to wind down, Paul, who's been twiddling his thumbs all night, asks others if their parents had ever told them any local legends. Doris and Earl both lie, and they both say no. They ask Paul the same. Paul is honest. "What about the red fall harvest?" he asks. Doris shakes her head. "Not even the grown-ups talk about that." They have lately. I've been hearing them. Some of them whispering about it. They think it's this year." Earl adds, "It's a king's tale. Elves don't care, and they're not challenged enough to run from a myth." Paul adds, "And why did Allison McKinnon's family pull her out of school for the month? You heard her. She said they'd be gone all month. Why else would she—" "Stop it, Paul, stop." Earl says uneasy. "It's a myth, Paul," Doris says, "like the boogeyman." "You don't let the boogeyman scare you," Paul tells Doris. "You don't get defensive over the boogeyman." Sit in silence. Earl eventually adds, 50 years, right? That's a long time. It doesn't mean it's this year. What if it is? Paul asks. What do we do? "Well," Doris says, "if it was actually real, don't you think that would be ready for it? You don't just forget stuff like that, do you? I know 50 years is a long time, but even if they all remembered, then why would anyone even stay here?" Earl says. "It makes no sense. It's a silly legend. But this year could be the year," Paul says, quite looking at his feet. He sincerely asks his two best friends, "What do we do if it is real?" Doris and Earl look at each other and she shrugs. "Pray for October to end." She leaves shortly after and Earl follows. Paul wishes them both good night and tells them both to be careful. None of them sleep well that night. 31 days in October. Paul thinks he lies in bed. 31 days of the red fall harvest. 31 nights. The clock reads October 1st, 12 a.m. And Paul wonders, how do we survive for 31 days? 3:34 a.m. Chief Paris is looking by a phone call. He tells his wife, Nora, to go back to sleep as he gets up and get dressed. She doesn't listen immediately. What's going on? She asked drowsily. Some you wouldn't believe, he said, pulling his pants on. Apparently someone tried to burn down Mullins and Hawkins. What? She asked. The tire place? Apparently half the building's on fire right now. Fire crews coming from the surrounding counties. I gotta be out there too. It's so dry out there, Ed, she says. If that fire spreads to the field, it's gonna light up the whole town. Fire department's already there. They're handling it. Be careful, she tells him sternly. Don't you worry about me, he says, yawning. I'm too damn tired of anything stupid. Gets your forehead and then gets on the forward and leaves her to dream. Drives off into the night. 4:47 a.m. Gunshots wake up Dean Baker. He's quick to grab his shotgun and faltering as he steps out onto his front porch. Wearing nothing but long johns. His house is surrounded by cornfields this year and he can't see anyone. However, the gunshots are close and he can hear more. People are yelling. He takes his shotgun and aims it in the sky. He fires. Shot splits the night like thunder and leaves an echoing silence. Takes the chance to shout out. Hey, I don't know who y'all are or what you think you're doing, but this is private property. Y'all are running out of time. Y'all got no more warnings. Got guns in this open season. Got it? Now get the hell out of my property or I'll unload everything I got in your direction. I won't be liable at all. Do you hear me? No one responded. No more guns fired. There was a rustling in the stalk, but Dean couldn't decide whether it was a wind or person. He waited on the porch for 10 minutes, where he was satisfied. Returning to his house, he begrudgingly put on a cup of coffee. There would be no point in trying to go back to sleep now. He ate breakfast with an eye on the door and a shotgun beside his eggs. 12:45 p.m. Talk of the fire has spread quickly to the town. That was unescapable. Sue fields lunch rush and hungrily feeds off their gossip. No one seems to really know anything more than they stopped the fire, and it seems almost certain it was arson. She's already called Nora Harris asking if she knew anything, but Nora said she hadn't heard from Ed since he was called out this morning. I bet it was Cade's, Todd Scoba says, shrugging it off. On here, something exciting. You should hear what Dean had to deal with this morning. People shooting in his fields. Things it was those folks from out of town. Almost ended up capping them himself. Sue sighs. What a great way to start October. A fire and a shooting. Keep it up, and this poor little town and her poor little heart will kick it with fright before you ever reach Halloween. Get him out October, Todd says. Just one hell of a Monday. She chuckles and pours Todd some coffee. 3:35 p.m. Pastor Gregory runs into Wilma Matson inside the church. Wilma, he asks, almost astounded. What a pleasure to see you today. We missed you yesterday. I'm sure, she said, avoiding eye contact and avoiding swiftly for the door. She wasn't alone. A man followed her out. Who are you, sir? Pastor Gregory asked, extending a hand. I don't believe we've met. No, we haven't, Charles North says, shaking up for saying quickly, and failed to introduce himself. Sorry, I can't stay long. Must really be going. Pastor kindly and curiously bids him a good day and returns to his work. 3:45 p.m. All things considered, the factory endured the fire relatively well. The entire wall on the western side was scorched black, and the stability there has been compromised. Not a terrible outcome for a building that has already been condemned. In the aftermath, the firefighters and police have discovered a handful of melted gasoline canisters. It had indeed been planned. Despite this, Chief Harris looks up at the rooftop and chuckles. Fire finally drove off those buzzards. 4:13 p.m. Paul, Doris, and Earl have all stopped off at Harley's diner to grab a few slices of pumpkin pie. Earl's idea. Think they'll find any bodies in there? Earl asks. What? Doris replies, disgusted. Gross, no, they're not going to find bodies in the factory. That's where I'd put them, if I were a killer, Earl says, grinning. Probably why the buzzards hang out there. They love dead things. Paul says nothing. He hasn't touched his pie, doesn't feel hungry. Think there are any hobos in here? Earl asked. Maybe they got trapped and went down with them. It's still up, dummy, Doris scolds. You saw their reports on TV during lunch today. Well, that could happen. Could happen since lunch, Earl points out, his mouth full of whipped cream. What do you think, Paul? Sorry, I'm tired. I am too, Doris says, yawning. You'll seem like a brick tonight. Paul takes a taste of his pie and he pushes it over to Earl, who greedily accepted it. He looks out the window, knowing full well that tonight he probably won't sleep a wink. 8:59 p.m. Pastor Gregory can't find his holy water, and he believes he is missing several silver crosses. Keeps searching, holding off on his first accusation. Thoughts of Wilma and that stranger take center stage. He won't accuse anyone of anything until he was well and sure that he hadn't just misplaced them. 9:25 p.m. Doris Bletcher tries to get to bed early tonight and she succeeds, and she has terrible nightmares. She sees her room and there's a branch outside her window. In the wind, it keeps stretching forward, grazing the glass with its sharp tips. Scratches and scratches, creating the most awful of noises, like windows against it, like fingernails against a chalkboard. She wakes up sometime around 11:50 p.m. and remembers there's no tree in her yard, no branch to scratch the window. Yet she sees scratches on the glass, stretching from center of the pane all the way down to the frame. Doris gets up and shuts off her blinds, but she still can't get to sleep that night. Fortunately, Paul is still up to text with her. They talk about algebra. Okay, you get the idea. That was, I think, 1/3 of it. Yeah, do you have any thoughts about that, or blah, blah, blah? Hello? Oh. Okay. He left. Well, that was a long ass stream anyway, so I should end it. I guess I'll see you. Bye.